Do not fall into the consumerist trap. It is not Christmas time yet. We have just begun to fall, my book friends. We're only a couple days into actual fall, and I am celebrating hardcore. We're getting good weather. We're going outside and being able to breathe non-humid air. I feel so sorry for those folks of you down south that don't get fall weather until December. It's amazing up here. We're getting pumpkin spice everything, and it actually feels right because there's a crispness in the air every morning. Oh, it's so joyous, and in this joyous beginning of fall, let me talk about the books that I have read this month. First of all, I finished The Final Empire, the first book in the Mistborn series. If you don't know what that is, it's a bunch of magic thieves who use metal to parkour and do super flips in the air. They can also use like magnet metal to basically shoot coins really fast like bullets. It's pretty cool. That's all part of Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, so that's also often referred to as a great place to start into adult epic fantasy. I'm not sure about that because I made mistakes and started wherever I wanted to, but it was a fun book. I gave it 5 stars and I also reviewed it. You can check it out in the link up in the corner. This month I also finished my first Frederick Bachman book, and oh, it was so beautiful. I convinced Amanda to read it and she loved it as well. She frequently speeds up audiobooks to get through them faster, but she specifically turned this one down to 1x because the very act of listening to Frederick Bachman's prose in this story she loved it. She's like, oh, this is what people talk about when they're saying good prose. I'm like, yes, like listening to every line, it's all art and it's all beautiful and it's so funny and so silly, but so gut-wrenchingly beautiful. I also have a review up for that linked in the corner. I recommend Anxious People to basically anyone. I think it's the type of book that if we all understand some of the elements of that story, we would be better off as humans, especially right now. Also, I read Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang. I read that to have a book discussion with some of my friends here on BookTube. Deanie from the channel Deanie, Angela from Literature Science Alliance, Ramsey from Rajathon, and Una from the Codex Cantina. Those are all fun channels. You should check them out. I'll link them down below. But we read Stories of Your Life and Others, I think is what it's called. Most notably, the short story Stories of Your Life is the short story that inspired and like the movie Arrival is based on it, which that's a very good movie. If you haven't seen it, you definitely should. The short story collection as a whole, I wasn't super in love with, but I gave it 3 stars as a whole. It was good. There's some good elements, fun discussion elements, but at the same time, it wasn't something that super appealed to me. And then what stands as my biggest reading disappointment of this year, and will probably win that award at the end of the year, To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, just completely crushed me. It broke my heart. I grew up really enjoying the Inheritance cycle, but I was not so enthused with To Sleep in a Sea of Stars, which is his sci-fi first contact space opera sort of story. I have a full video review for that one as well, which I will link up above, but frankly, it was too long, and I could not, with Palini's prose, connect with any of the characters in any meaningful way. It wasn't very good at being plot-driven. I didn't think it was very good at being character-driven, and honestly, I felt like it probably just needed a lot more editing and rewriting to get to the point where it would be very good. I was so hyped for that book at the beginning of the year, though. It crushes me to say that. I read the entire thing hoping it would get better, and instead, it just got more confusing and worse, in my opinion. I have found friends, though, that really enjoy it. I've seen positive reviews for it. I am so glad that those people were able to enjoy something that I so thoroughly did not enjoy myself. But if we want to talk about something that I did love, Royal Assassin, the second book in the Farseer trilogy, something that I read with my patrons over on my Discord, and holy crap, Royal Assassin may win the award for like most improved sequel that I've ever read. Everything that I loved about the original Assassin's Apprentice book, it just was better in Royal Assassin in every single way. And it was a wonderfully told, beautifully written story about the continuing adventures of this royal assassin, and the political and interpersonal complexities were all ramped up to maximum, to the point where when things start going wrong, it just dismantled me in the best way possible. I've said that so many times, and I don't know a better way to describe what was happening, but I loved it so much. I want Robin Hobb to hurt me more, and I cannot wait to read Assassin's Quest next month with my patrons. I don't think as many people have read that series, which I think is sad, but man, when I post about that series, the fans that love it are so passionate, and it makes me so excited to continue. The final thing that I read this month was the original, which is like a kind of fairly surprise to me sort of audiobook novella short story thing, which was a collaboration between Brandon Sanderson and Mary Robinette Kowal, I believe is how you say it. Once again, there's also a review for that linked up above, and that one is sort of a sci-fi dystopian thriller. I can't say much about it without spoiling it because it's obviously very short, but it takes place in a world where a person realizes that they are a clone of someone and their job is to kill the original version of themselves and then take their place. And it is a wild ride full of suspense and action and cool thought-provoking ideas. And September was just a wild ride. I loved it. I'm currently reading The Well of Ascension, so that's something I'm going to be continuing to read going into next month. Additionally, in October, if I finish The Well of Ascension, I'd like to finish Hero of Ages. I'd like to be caught up on at least the first trilogy in the Mistborn series before going into Rhythm of War. I've heard that some of the Cosmere stuff that connects everything could be interesting. And duh, because it's October and that's, you know, the horror month with Halloween, I would like to read some creepy stuff. The other patron buddy read that I'm going to be doing this month that everyone voted on over on my Discord was The Shining by Stephen King. I've never read any Stephen King outside of the Dark Tower series, so I'm looking forward to this one. This one feels like the first, real Stephen King I'll read, and also I've heard that it's kind of creepy and weird, and I tend to enjoy that sort of thing. It's been a minute since I read something sort of outside the normal traditional fantasy. Technically, you could argue that Stephen King is horror fantasy, that's part of the fantasy genre, but obviously it's very different. Additionally, there is a book that came out this year called Harrow Lake, and unfortunately, I cannot tell you very much about Harrow Lake, because as soon as I got to the part of the description that sort of gave me Pacific Northwest story vibes, if you are not sure what that is, I'm going to link a video down below where I talk about how much I love Pacific Northwest stories, if you don't know what that means. As soon as I got those vibes, I was like, this is something I'm going to read. I don't want to know anything else about it, except that it made me think of this type of story, and thus I am putting that on my TBR. I'd really like to get to that. So those are the only books that I've kind of committed to read. I am down to, if I finish at any point any of these books that are available, to try to read anything else creepy. It's been so long since I've read something that just terrified me. I want to read something really and truly scary, so please leave books down below that you think are legitimately scary. I'm not looking for just gross out stuff. I want something that's psychological. It's gonna creep me out to my core. I need it in my life. It's been so long since I've read something legitimately that affecting to me, and I want it for Halloween. Please help me out, book fam. Speaking of book fam, this month I launched my merch store, which is just a bunch of dumb ideas I had for t-shirts and or mugs, including this shirt that I'm wearing right now, as well as the Frick shirt that I have, and the Fall is My Favorite holiday shirt, which also comes in a mug form. The link to my merch stuff is all down below. It's just kind of a silly idea that I had. If anyone picks it up, I will be eternally grateful. Maybe eternally is a little bit much. I'll be very, very grateful. Additionally, I have mentioned my patrons here before. If you would like to become a patron, be able to support this channel financially, there's a link to that down below as well. Even if you are not able to support me financially or don't want to, there is a Discord available for everyone. It's public. The link is available to that Discord down below. We have a blast just talking about whatever there. There's lots of different channels for different subjects, for lots of different things that we can talk about if that's something you want to do. It's so fun. I love it so much. It takes up a significant portion of my life now. It's my social life, and I kind of just love it. For those of you that aren't aware, I am a huge fan of the Stormlight Archive, and I have continually been a co-host of the Stormalong 2020 read-along of the Stormlight Archive books. We are currently done with Words of Radiance, and the final Words of Radiance finale video is going to be Thursday, live-streamed over at Christy Lewis Dostoevsky and Space's channel. That's going to be taking place at 8 p.m. Central Time, Thursday night. I am looking forward to it so much. Everyone finished the book, and we've been waiting on pins and needles to talk about it with all of you folks. Words of Radiance is a wild ride. The first time I read this book, I read it in a week, which is insane, because that's an 1,100 or 1,200 page book. What the crap? but so worth it, so good. We're going to be starting Oathbringer basically the day after that live stream, so this Friday, and we're going to be taking 2 months to go through that with the live streams. There will be a schedule over on Christy's channel for when those live streams are happening, but if you are a fan of the Stormlight Archive and you want to join in those live streams or join in that read along, you can reread Oathbringer. We're about to start that. It's a perfect time to jump on if that's the portion of the series that you're partaking in, or even if you just want a refresher or you just want to see people freak out about reading Stormlight for the first time. This is a reread for me this time, but the channel Seeking Stories and the channel A Musical Bookworm, which I will also link all my Stormlight stuff down below. It's their first time through the series, and watching them make predictions about new things as well as like react to everything. Oh man, I've told this to a million people and I'm not overreacting. I basically am fueled in my life at this point by people reacting to Stormlight for the first time. It brings me so much joy, and if you're a fan of the series, you are probably the same way. Please join us in one of our Stormalong streams to get that sort of adrenaline hit or, you know, dopamine rush or whatever. September was such a fun month. October is going to be even more fun. I am sure of it. Thank you to everyone that is new to my channel. Thank you to everyone who has been watching my channel for a long time. I don't think I always take enough opportunities to tell you guys thank you for making my booktube experience so pleasant and wonderful for me. I've made so many friends on this platform, and I want to do my best to make this platform also amazing for other people coming into it. To anyone down below who has made a comment saying that I've made them laugh, that genuinely, every single time I read that someone laughed at something that I did or said, it makes me happy. Spreading joy through laughter is one of my absolute favorite things in the entire world, and I cannot emphasize that enough. Additionally, if you've ever read a book that I've suggested and loved it, every time you guys say that, it blows my mind with the sheer amount of happiness that brings me that I can share the joy of reading with people all over this freaking planet. It's so cool. So thank you guys, every one of you that watches this channel. If you would like to see more videos from me and you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe to my channel. I would love to continue talking with you in the future. I love you all so much, and I hope that you live in a place that actually gets to enjoy fall. Thank you for watching. Bye.
No one ever get enough. Always looking out tired, sleep. No one ever get enough. If it don't show up, I might get fired. Sleep, no one ever get enough. Always looking out tired, sleep. No one ever get enough. If I don't show up, I might get fired.